Hey guys, what's up? It's Chris with Cinetrapper Drone University. Today we're at our office and we're going to be testing out the Phantom 4 versus the DJI Mavic. So super excited about this. This is a really amazing drone. But how does the camera quality compare, and can you use it for commercial purposes? Is it good enough? That is the big question. So we're going to do some head-to-head comparisons. We're going to do some static shots, having them sitting next to each other in different lighting situations, as well as flying them kind of side by side so you guys can get a good feel for the way the footage looks in the air. So let's get started.
All right, so first off, we got the Mavic over here, we got the P4 over here. For the settings, I used the log format, and I turned off the sharpening and everything all the way to -3 on both of them, and I made the exposure and the aperture as close as I could possibly get on both of them so we could get a good comparison here. Okay, so first thing you're going to notice, the Mavic is a lot flatter when you're shooting in log mode. These are both in log mode, all the same settings. Another thing that you notice, which is the biggest difference, is that the Mavic is much tighter, right? It's a zoomed in lens. So this is about a 28mm, and I believe the P4 is about a 20mm lens, so it's much wider. I really love the wider angle of the P4 for aerial shots. It's just kind of a good all-around focal length, that 20mm, good for real estate, stuff like that. The Mavic is a little bit tighter, so it's going to be harder to film buildings and stuff like that. But at the same time, a tighter lens usually is a more cinematic kind of approach, so it can definitely work depending on what you're shooting, and you can definitely make it work. So, all right, so you can see here the Mavic is a little bit sharper than the P4 is. So we zoomed in a whole bunch. Now granted, the P4 is a little bit wider angle lens, so we're zooming in a little bit more, but still the Mavic is actually sharper, which really kind of surprised me. Okay, so now we just kind of have a flat comparison shot right here. Now they're pretty darn similar. People were saying before that the Mavic is blurry and it's not as good. That's not true at all. It's actually a little bit sharper than the P4, but are you gonna notice, you know, if you're playing back the footage on YouTube or even on TVs? No, you won't even notice that at all. Okay, so now we have another shot right here. This is kind of a wide, far away shot. We were the exact same height and the exact same distance away from this tower right here. So you can check out just kind of the focal length difference is kind of the main thing. So with the 20mm lens on the P4 and the 28 over here, you can see a lot more of everything. And once again, the color is a little bit better on the P4, but the Mavic is really sharp as well. So, okay, so for this test, we took the Mavic and the P4 and we put them in front of a camera chart so we could see what the sharpness was, the true sharpness. And this was really quite surprising to me. As you can see here, the Mavic is really sharp for the most part, all the way through 1 to 10. Everything looks really good. On the P4, it starts off on 10, and as you can see, we get down to the 1 and it gets really quite blurry. So we're gonna zoom in on that a little bit right here. And as you can see here, this is the Mavic on this side. The 1 is really sharp. It's sharp all the way through. And here it is on the P4, the exact same thing. So it gets much blurry. Starts off kind of sharp in the middle and then gets blurry to the end. And here's an even closer version of that, as you can see here. So we've got the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, nice and sharp for the most part, and then the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the P4. So what that means is that the Mavic has a better overall sharpness, and a part of that is that the Mavic is punched in, right? It's a tighter focal length, and I think they do that on a small sensor so that it kind of doesn't have that vignetting. So you're gonna have that with the P4. But once you actually upload it to YouTube and you know you've got movement in your shot, chances are you're not gonna be able to see that blurriness that is on the edge.
All right, now we're gonna do some low light testing. I've got the Phantom 4 and the Mavic right here. We've got Inspire as our subject, and we've got a little lantern right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna test out the low light capability as well as the ISO settings, and then see how much grain we get when we push the image. So here we go, let's go for it.
Okay, so we got the Mavic and the P4 at 100 ISO. It's kind of hard to tell a difference at this range. They look fairly similar. The Mavic looks a little bit flatter. 400, we see we've got a zoomed in version right here, so you guys can kind of check out the grain. They look pretty similar. 800, they look pretty similar as well. And then 1600, this is where they kind of go a little bit different. So the Mavic is actually better at 1600 ISO compared to the P4, as you can see here. The grain is just really crazy. And then the Mavic has a 3200 ISO setting where the P4 does not have it. And that, of course, is pretty grainy. Okay guys, so overall I feel like the Mavic Pro definitely gives you a lot of bang for your buck. It's actually sharper than the P4 in a lot of areas. The only downside is that it's a pretty tight focal length, so you're not going to be able to see as much real estate of whatever you're shooting, and it kind of depends on what you're filming. If you're filming a feature film, the tighter length is good. If you're shooting real estate, then you might want a little bit wider. So the color is actually a little bit better on the P4, I thought, as well. So there's a little bit of a benefit to having the P4. So overall, I feel like the Mavic Pro is an awesome drone, and I think it's very, very comparable to the Phantom 4. All right, so make sure you guys check out the description. I've got a link there. You guys can click on to download the raw footage so you guys can check out the results for yourself. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys later. Hang on guys, don't go quite yet. I've got something really, really cool. I actually have an online training. If you click right here, you can go get signed up for that. I'm teaching how to get ready for the Part 107. What is it? How do I get signed up for it? How should I train for it? I'm also going to talk about my top cinematic drone shots so that you guys can take your shots to the next level. So before you guys head out, go ahead and click on that, and we'll see you guys later.